Welcome to the Jay Kim Show. This is your host, Jay Kim. I am an investor, author, and fitness entrepreneur, and for the first time in Asia, I sit down with the world's most brilliant minds in business, investing, and entrepreneurship. You'll learn all the secrets, strategies, and formulas to becoming a successful entrepreneur directly from the masters. If this is your first time listening, thank you for stopping by. This podcast is produced every week with the goal of providing actionable insight to you, the listener, with every single episode. And now, on to the show. Today's guest is Hal Elrod. Hal has one of the most fascinating stories you'll ever hear. At the age of 20, he was hit head-on by a drunk driver at 70 miles an hour and found dead at the scene. He was dead for 6 minutes, in a coma for 6 days, and the doctors told him that he would never walk again. But despite all that, Hal defied the logic of doctors, and he refused to be a victim. And he proved that any one of us can overcome extraordinary adversity in our lives. Hal went on to write a #1 best-selling book called The Miracle Morning. And in this book, he talks about how any one of us can transform our lives in as little as 6 minutes a day. I know you're going to enjoy today's episode. Let's jump right in.
Why don't we begin and just get right into it, because I know we have a limited amount of time. So, man, your story is so inspirational. I don't even know where to begin. But for my listeners out here in Asia, who is Hal Elrod, and how did you become, who you are right now?
Yeah, I think that first and foremost, I am a husband and a father, and I didn't always put those first and foremost. I think there was a time where I, was pursuing goals and success so much that, and I thought it was in the name of being a husband and father, until a friend kind of made me realize that we both needed to be husbands and fathers first, and all the success we were pursuing and the work we were doing, that was really a far second in terms of what was important in our lives. And so I'm probably best known though now as the author of a book called The Miracle Morning, which has it's sold a few 100,000 copies now around the world and translated in 21 languages. And every day I'm still in awe of seeing the profound impact that it is making in people's lives.
Yeah, that's amazing. Has it been translated into Chinese yet?
It will be. I've signed on to have it translated and published in 22 different languages. So far, it's French, it is Korean, it is, Portuguese is about to come out, Spanish is about to come out, German is about to come out. I can't keep track. I need a better system, all the dates when all the different books are coming out. Someone will reach out that's from another country and go, "Oh, I read your book in, this language." And I go, "Oh, I didn't even know it had come out yet in that language." Cool.
Awesome. And congrats on being a father. Is that recent?
No. My daughter just turned 7, and my son just turned 4. So, and that I think we're done at 2. But no, it's amazing.
So good to have you. And why don't you, if you could just quickly, I know your story is amazing, and I don't want to, I want to give it as much time as it deserves.
Sure.
But if you can briefly run my audience through exactly sort of what happened. You at one point became an entrepreneur, and then you had a series of, I'd say, not so fortunate events happen to you in life, but you somehow, pulled your way out of that, and now you're an extremely, extremely successful entrepreneur. If you could just please run us through that, it would be very amazing.
Yeah. So for me, I think that the place to start where it becomes kind of significant, and there's some lessons that we can draw. When I was 19 years old, I took a job in direct sales where I was selling Cutco cutlery, just high quality kitchen knives in people's houses through demonstrations. And I didn't really have a big dream or ambition with it. A friend of mine was doing it, and I thought it was a way where I could set my schedule around college. And my first 10 days, I broke the all-time company record where I sold more Cutco kitchen knives in my first 10 days than just about anybody had in the history of the company. And what's important to note is that I was very mediocre and average my whole life before that. And so what that taught me is that it really is in a moment of decision where we decide to commit at a level we've never been committed before to a single purpose or a single goal, that's when we go from being ordinary to being extraordinary, or from being average or being mediocre to really starting to fulfill our potential and tap into what we all have, which is this unlimited potential that so few people ever even come close to.
Right.
So when I was 19, I got my first glimpse at that. And a year and a half later, I suffered my most extraordinary adversity driving home from a sales conference, and I was hit head-on by a drunk driver. My car was hit head-on by a drunk driver on the freeway at 70 miles per hour.
Oh, man.
And I died. I was clinically dead for 6 minutes. I had broken 11 bones, suffered a lot of internal injuries. I was clinically dead for 6 minutes and then rushed to the hospital, brought back to life. I was in a coma for 6 days, and when I came out of the coma, they told me that I would probably, they being the doctors, I'd probably never walk again, and I have permanent brain damage. And
wow.
Obviously, as you said, I mean, it's a story that we could, there's a lot to the story, but the short version of it is I decided that I couldn't change what had happened to me, but I could choose what I was going to focus on. And I chose to accept that I was in this car accident. I chose to not feel sorry for myself. I chose to accept the worst case scenario, which was that I might never walk again, and make peace with that so that it wouldn't destroy me emotionally. And I decided that if I was in a wheelchair the rest of my life, that I would be the most grateful person you had ever seen in a wheelchair in your life. And I thought, if I'm in a wheelchair anyway, I can either be mad about that and sad about that and depressed about that, or I can be happy and grateful for everything that I still had in my life. And I think for all of us, if someone's unhappy, it has nothing to do with what's going on around us, and it has everything to do with what's going on inside of us. Mm. And that's what that taught me, is that even in the most difficult circumstances of my life, I was the happiest I'd ever been. In fact, the doctors thought I was in denial because I was so happy. They thought I was delusional because I was so happy. But 2 weeks later, they came in with x-rays and they said, we don't know how to explain this, but your body is healing so quickly. We're going to let you take your first step tomorrow in therapy.
Wow.
So it went from never walking again to you're going to walk tomorrow. And that was just 3 weeks after the crash, 2 weeks after I came out of the coma. And I took my first step and went on from there.
That's unbelievable. Sorry, I got to interject. So
yeah, no, go ahead.
Hal, I have to ask, before this happened to you, were you sort of always a positive person? Would you say that about yourself?
Kind of. It was really, I attribute it to what I learned when I started in sales, was a big part of it. I learned from my mentor something called the 5-minute rule, which was when things go wrong, when you experience a disappointment or a tragedy, it's okay to feel bad, but not for more than 5 minutes. And we literally were taught, set your timer on your phone for 5 minutes and give yourself 5 minutes to feel it. Bitch, moan, complain, cry, whatever you got to do. But when the timer goes off, you make an intelligent decision that you go, okay, well, I can't change what happened 5 minutes ago, so there's no point in fostering negative emotions. There's no point in resisting it and wishing it didn't happen and saying it's unfair. The only logical, intelligent choice is accept it, be at peace with it, and focus all of my energy off of the thing I can't change and onto what I can control, what's in my control to move forward. And so, granted, the adversity that I experienced in the car accident was much greater than we were taught that strategy for like customers that didn't buy from us or something, It was a much more extreme adversity, but what I realized is the principle is the same. I was in a car accident. Yeah. I broke my bones. I might never walk again, but from there on, I couldn't change that. But I could choose what I did from that point on. I could choose to make it into a positive. I could choose to turn the adversity into an advantage. I could write all of those things.
Right. I think your mentor would probably allow more than 5 minutes for
I think 5 weeks probably for that one. But I really I applied the 5-minute rule. I mean, maybe it was like a 5-day rule at that point. But I took a few days to process it and went, all right, well, what am I going to do with this?
I love that. And, it's like, it reminds me so much of stories such as Viktor Frankl. And, Tony Robbins talks about it all the time. Life happens for you, not to you. And, happiness comes from within. And I think that's really just so important. And I mean, the miracles that happen in your healing is clear testament of that, I think. I firmly believe that.
Yeah, I don't have a graph that shows people. You can see as my brain waves were positive, my body healed quicker. Right? I can't show that evidence in day to day or moment to moment. But obviously the results were pretty incredible.
Right. So that was sort of the big adversity. And then after that, I know that there was another low point, I believe during the financial crisis.
Yeah, the economy crashed in
Right.
2008. So prior to 2008, I was as successful as I'd ever been. Like I had hit Hall of Fame with my Cutco company, and then I moved on and I started my own business doing sales coaching and business and life coaching. I wrote my first book called Taking Life Head On. I started speaking professionally, which was a dream of mine that I had had for 5 or 6 years. Finally made it happen, and then the economy crashes and I crash with it. And it felt like overnight, but I mean, I lost my house, I tripled my body fat percentage, I stopped exercising, I was depressed, I went from being debt free to having $52,000 in credit card debt, and
Wow.
and climbing every day. I couldn't pay the bills. And to keep a long story short, it was I basically, one day a friend had a conversation with me that led me to go on a quest to figure out what do the world's most successful people do every day for personal development that I'm not doing. So that what could I do that would enable me to become a better version of myself so that I could achieve the success that I used to have and even greater. And I kept coming across morning rituals and early rising, but I kept going, no, I'm not a morning person. What else do they do? What else do they do, right? And and finally, I had read so many different articles about how the world's most successful people, most of them swear by their morning ritual. I finally went, I have to try this. Like, I've got to get out of my comfort zone. I've got to do something different if I want my life to be different. I woke up the next morning an hour earlier, and I did these 6 practices. I basically decided if I'm going to wake up an hour earlier, I'm going to make it count. So what are the best personal development practices in the world that I can do within this hour in the morning?
Right.
And I did all 6 of them, and within 2 months, I more than doubled my income. I went from being in the worst shape of my life physically to committing to run a 52-mile ultra marathon because I hated running.
Unbelievable.
And I thought, what better way to grow as a person than to commit to run 52 miles? I hate running, so that would be, wow, that'd be a new me. And my depression went away the first day. And because my life changed so profoundly, financially, physically, emotionally, I started calling it my miracle morning. But keep in mind, Jay, that wasn't a book title. Like, it wasn't a book idea. It was just my miracle morning. But then I taught it to one of my coaching clients, Katie, and she goes, Hal, I'm not a morning person, but it's pretty convincing. I'll give it a shot. And a week later, we get on the call, and she goes, oh my gosh, it worked. I'm a morning person. I just had the best week in my entire sales career. I read an entire book that's been sitting on my shelf. I'm so motivated. I'm so energized. And that's when the light bulb went off, and I went, wow, if it worked for me and it worked for Katie, this whole miracle morning thing could change anyone's life, and it did it so quickly for us. I thought, I wonder if I could do it for other people that quickly, and now the rest is kind of history, as they say.
Okay, so I'm really excited to be speaking with you. So I have a little fitness business on the side. I do some coaching, fitness coaching, and so I've always sort of been. I mean, I don't think anyone's actually a morning person.
Yeah, sure.
Per se.
Everybody would rather lay in bed. There's right.
Yeah.
It's me and myself.
It's like human nature, right?
Yeah, totally.
But I definitely made a commitment to fitness about 12, 13 years ago. So I always worked out in the morning, and it was more because that was where I was more productive and clear, and quite frankly, at the end of the day, I just would keep blowing off my workouts. But after having been a morning workout guy, I myself stumbled upon, before reading your book, I stumbled upon my own miracle morning because I realized that this was quite recent. This was probably 2 years ago that I actually started waking up before my workout to read because I love reading. I just never had the time to do it. So it wasn't much. It was probably 30 minutes. And then I stumbled upon your book and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing because it was literally everything that you talk about in the book is exactly what I was experiencing at the time because I just found that everything was so much better in my life. I mean, I was always a morning workout guy.
Yeah.
But then once I started stimulating my brain as well in the morning, that just made the biggest difference in the world because it was like self-betterment. So, when I was waking up, it was much easier to wake up because it wasn't, I have to go work out now. It was like, I get to go read, and that's something that I want to do. So let's dig into the miracle morning. I really want to go into your 6 steps and sort of tactics and what can, how can this directly positively affect an entrepreneur today?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, The Miracle Morning for Entrepreneurs is the next book in the series that comes out in November.
I can't wait.
Yeah, and I co-authored it with Cameron Harold, the former COO of 1-800 Junk. So I'm excited for that one. But
is that available for pre-sale, by the way?
Not yet. No, it'll be a bit. Yeah, and what's interesting is the Miracle Morning, when we put on our first live event, actually our second live event last year, Best Year Ever Blueprint, someone asked me, what percentage of your audience is entrepreneurs? And I went, God, I have no idea. That's terrible. I should know that. And so I sent out an intake form to our attendees, and it was like 83% of our audience, of the people that, and they all came from the Miracle Morning book is where they started, were entrepreneurs. So this really it really is the largest segment of the population that does the Miracle Morning every day are entrepreneurs. Right. So the 6 practices are organized into an acronym, which is the SAVERS. So SAVERS. Mm-hmm. That was not from day one. It was my brilliant wife who saw me frustrated working on my book one day because I couldn't figure out how to organize these 6 practices. And she goes, why don't you get a thesaurus and find words that mean the same thing, synonyms, right? That you can organize into an acronym. And I was like, you're brilliant.
Brilliant. Woman's touch, man.
Exactly. And so meditation became silence, which is the first S in SAVERS, and journaling became scribing, which is the last S in SAVERS. And if you left it meditation and journaling, it'd be Maverja. That'd be the acronym. It wouldn't flow very well. But what's great is it couldn't be a better acronym, because I really believe these are the practices that are virtually guaranteed to save us from missing out on the life that we're meant to live, really our full potential. And the first S being silence. This is about starting your day with purposeful silence. That can be meditation. It can be prayer. It can be a combination of both. But just meditation alone, if you Google, benefits of meditation, there are over 1,400 scientific studies that have proven the mental, the psychological, intellectual, and physiological benefits of meditation. You live long. People that meditate live longer, right? You think clearer. You have lower stress levels, which is probably why you live longer, right? But so starting your day with peaceful, purposeful silence is the first part of the Miracle Morning. And I joke in the book that, hey, it couldn't get easier. I'm asking you to start by doing nothing, saying nothing, just sit there, right? And obviously there's a little more to it than that. But the A is for affirmations. And this is my favorite part of the SAVERS and the Miracle Morning. People ask, do you have a favorite saver? And I say, I'm totally, unabashedly, yes, it's affirmations. The way they've been taught for decades, maybe centuries, is not the way that I'm talking about. Affirmations, I think, have a bad rap because the way that a lot of self-help gurus have taught them is lie to yourself. You want to be a millionaire? Right. Just say, I'm a millionaire. I'm a millionaire. I'm a millionaire, right? But you're fighting truth, right? The truth will always prevail. So the way that I teach affirmations in the book, there's really 4 steps to creating affirmations that are goal-oriented, results-oriented, and actionable. Number 1 is, what do you want? So specifically, what's the result you want? In the book, I say phrase it in terms of being committed to that result. So instead of saying, I am a millionaire, I would say, I am committed to becoming a millionaire. Step 2 is the why. What's the reason behind it that will drive you? What, beyond just the number or the, what's the why, the compelling reason behind it? So for me, it's providing financial freedom for my family and being able to, give away half of my income to charity, right? So those motivate me beyond just making millions of dollars. So the why is step 2. Step 3 is the how. How are you going to do it? What are you going to do? What are the specific actions that you have to take that you're committed to taking? And then step 4 is when. So you're really getting clear on what you have to do, and actually beyond that, you're looking at your schedule and going, when will I take those recurring actions? When will I go to the gym each day? What activities will I do? What exercises, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the affirmations formula that I teach you in the book.
So it's quite detailed, actually. You go down to quite a granular level on the affirmation part.
Absolutely, because if otherwise it just makes you feel good in the moment. And it's funny. A lot of people that abide by the old school way of doing affirmations, they love affirmations because it makes them feel good, because it gives them this illusion of everything's going to be okay while they read them.
Right.
But then nothing changed. It's like they're like, yeah, I love affirmations. I've been doing them for years. And you go, well, what's changed? And they're like, well, I just feel good when I do them. It's like, well, I want to feel good when I do them because I know they're generating results for me, not just making me feel good, right? So that's affirmations. The V is for visualization, and I won't go into a lot of depth on that. I'll just say in the book, I do it the same as affirmations. It's like, how do you make it not just woo-woo, right? But not vague, but how do you make it actionable? How do you take visualization so it actually creates results on a day-to-day basis? And all I'll say about it is that if you look at the world's most successful athletes, they all swear by visualization.
Yep. I was just going to say.
Right? They attribute high performance to visualization. It's a big part of it. So why would we not do that to perform at our best as parents, as salespeople, as entrepreneurs, right? Why would we not do the same?
100%. Yep.
The how to do it, of course, obviously is another matter. The E in Savers is for exercise. And I'm not saying that you can't go to the gym in the afternoon. I'm just saying that if you study the benefits of morning exercise specifically, when you exercise in the morning, you increase your energy throughout the entire day. You immediately get blood and oxygen to your brain and through your entire body, which allows you to have more energy and think clearer, and it releases serotonin so you feel better.
Yep.
I use an app called 7-Minute Workout in the morning, so it doesn't even take a long time, 7 minutes. All right, and even if you do 60 seconds of jumping jacks, you'll be in a much better state mentally, physically, and emotionally than you were 60 seconds before the jumping jacks started.
That's key. I mean, I think that a lot of people underestimate the power of exercise and the actual link between physicality and your brain, your cognitive function.
Totally.
Right? I
mean, somebody asked me yesterday, I have a group coaching program, and we were doing a call, and they said, what's your go-to when you find yourself in a moment of weakness? And I said, exercise. And when I say that, though, I literally mean often 60 seconds. If I'm feeling low energy, low clarity, low focus, I don't feel motivated, I get up and I do 60 seconds of jumping jacks. I just get my heart rate up and I breathe, and then boom, I'm motivated. I've generated that energy, that motivation that I need.
Yep, amazing.
R in Savers is for reading, and again, not a lot to talk about here other than the fact that I believe we're all one book away from learning and the knowledge, the strategy that we need to improve any area of our lives. You want to have what I would call level 10 success in every area, where on a scale of 1 to 10, you're either experiencing or moving in the direction of level 10 success in your health, your happiness, your relationships, your finances, etc. I think reading books that will help you get there is one of the most significant strategies to do that.
Right.
The final S is for scribing, and scribing is it's a fancy word, thanks to the thesaurus for writing. But basically, it's the power of putting pen to paper. In fact, I recently went on a binge where I read a bunch of books and studied happiness, and almost every single book from Happy for No Reason to Happy, I can't think of all the books. The Happiness Advantage, et cetera, right, which is based on Harvard research by Sean Anker. They all say the same thing. It's funny, actually. It was very affirming. Almost all of the books, what they taught is that it was the savers.
Right.
It was. They all said journaling what you're grateful for. That was in every book. Exercise was in every book. Meditation was in almost every single study on being happy. I was like, wow. So, in other words, you do the miracle morning every day, and you'll be much happier. So that's the scribing. And for me, I use something called 5-Minute Journal. There is a physical version at 5minutejournal.com. However, I personally use the app because I have my phone with me at all times and don't want to carry a journal around. So 5-Minute Journal is an app, and that allows you, it's a really simple, structured, quick journal that every day sets you up with simple prompts. What are 3 things you're grateful for? What are the 3 most important things you need to do today to win the day? And then at the end of the day, what are the 3 things that happened today that were amazing? And what are 3 things you're going to do better tomorrow? And it's just a real simple, real concise form of scribing that allows you to optimize both your internal game for the day, but then optimize your clarity to generate the best results that you can for the day.
That's great. So 5 minute, is it 5 as in the number 5 or F5?
Okay. Yeah, if you go to the website, FIVE, 5minutejournal.com. And the last thing I'll say on this, Robert Kiyosaki reached out to me, and I'm a huge fan of his. He wrote the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? And he reached out to me, and he said he had read The Miracle Morning 3 times, said it totally changed his life. He started doing the savers. He does them almost every day.
That's unbelievable.
Oh yeah, I mean my jaw it still doesn't feel real to say it, but he said it better than I had ever said it. He said, Hal, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he said, before the Miracle Morning, every successful person in the world swore by at least one of the savers, maybe 2. Very few even did 3. I had never heard of anyone, he said, that did all 6 of these ancient best practices every day. And he said, and that's why I believe the Miracle Morning is so effective, and that's why I do it every day. I do all 6 practices almost every single day. And that's it. Is any one of the savers is a game changer, but you do all 6 and you see results that are beyond what you think is even possible.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I just have to quickly say I do a lot. I do probably four of the savers. The one that I've sort of always struggled with is the first one actually, is the meditation one. And I've always kind of been like, is it hokey? And I've done a like very very cursory research on meditation, and I know that a lot of sort of very very successful people swear by it, even in the fitness world and whatnot.
Sure.
But what's the quickest way for someone to just sort of dabble into meditation? What would you suggest?
So two things I would suggest. The first is guided meditation is what I recommend starting with, and in the Miracle Morning book, that's what I tell people. Like, don't try to master meditation, and you'll get frustrated right off the bat. Just go to YouTube and search 5-minute guided meditation.
Okay.
And if you want to get specific, search, and you can do 10-minute, you can do whatever you want. There's there's so many videos out on YouTube that are free, but 5-minute guided meditation, and then you can get specific. Like, you can do 5-minute parenting guided meditation. And my wife and I found this one that was like amazing and totally changed how we parented.
Wow.
Yeah, and so that's YouTube is a great place to start. There's also an app called Vana. O, M as in Mary, V as in Victor, A, N as in Nancy, A. Vana is a meditation app, so that's a good one as well.
Okay.
And then and the other thing is, I'm actually listening to an audio. I'm reading a book right now, and I'm listening to the same guy's audio program, and it's called The Science of Enlightenment by Shinzen Young. So if you've already read The Miracle Morning, and like for you, Jay, meditation is something you want to go deeper in.
Right.
Science of Enlightenment it's really helping me deepen my understanding of meditation. So I'm reading the book, and then I'm listening to his audio program on Audible in the car every day. So I'm kind of getting.
Okay.
And what's interesting is from what I can tell, the Audible program isn't the book word for word, but it's the same material loosely. So you're getting kind of two different, like I'm big on repetition. So I like to hear it. I like to read it and kind of go back and forth. But yeah, so for you to go deeper on meditation, I would read those books. But then, and also, guided meditations are just a simple way where someone's leading you through and you're, kind of what to focus on, what to think about, how to breathe, etc. So you don't have to figure it out on your own.
That's awesome. Hal, we got to look to wrap up here, but so Hal, have you ever been out to Asia before?
I have not. No.
Okay, so that's one of our goals. Then in the next year or so, I want to get you out here. So what's Hal Elrod's final piece of advice to listeners that may have never heard of you, people out in Asia? What's the final piece that you'd like to leave the audience with?
It goes back to it was the subtitle of my very first book, which was called Taking Life Head On. The subtitle: Love the life you have while you create the life of your dreams. And I've since expanded on that by adding a piece, which is, don't think you have to choose one over the other. And I think that so often you find, we think that we need to create the life of our dreams where we can really feel happy, like we're not satisfied with the life that we have. And I find that if you don't learn how to love the life that you have now, you'll never really be able to love the life that you think you want, because once you get it, we see this with so many celebrities, right? They're so focused on their dreams from a young age, and then they create the life of their dreams. Then they turn to drugs and alcohol and even suicide. And my theory on why that is, well, they never learned how to be grateful for what they had and love the life they had. So when they got what they thought they wanted, they didn't know how. They didn't have the mindset. They didn't know how to appreciate it for what it was. If you can learn to love the life you have now, even though it's not perfect and it's not the way that you want it to be, it'll never be perfect. And human beings, it'll never be the way you want it to be, because you'll always want the next level. You'll always want more. It's really about learning to love the life you have right now. That should be first priority. And then while you're loving and being grateful and enjoying your life, make sure you're every day taking action toward becoming the person that you need to be able to create the most extraordinary life that you can imagine, because doing that not only serves you, but it serves everyone you love and care about, because you're setting an example. You're giving them permission, whether consciously or unconsciously, to do the same. So lead by example, fulfill your potential, enjoy every moment, love the life you have, but go out there and go for your dreams and create the most extraordinary life that you can imagine, because you deserve really nothing less, and the people that know you and that love you and look up to you deserve nothing less from you.
So good. That's so inspirational. Thanks so much, Hal. And where's the best place that people out here can find you?
So miraclemorning.com is the, kind of the website for all things Miracle Morning. Of course, if you want to buy the book, it's on Amazon, it's on iBooks, it's on Audible, Kindle, all that stuff. But yeah, miraclemorning.com. And then if you want to, we have a lot of people that come to our events from all over the world. We do a live event every December called Best Year Ever Blueprint. And it's unlike any event I've ever seen, and I go to a lot of them, but it's experiential. It's not where you're sitting. Most events you go to, and it's information overload, and you're taking pages and pages of notes, and then you go home, and you've got 10 pages of notes, and no time to read them, let alone implement them, right?
Yep.
So our events, we have, my business partner is actually the genius that facilitates this, but he has studied, he's a master in experiential learning science. And so instead of going there and just learning what to do, you actually do it while you're there. For example, if we teach you how to form a mastermind, you don't just go home with notes on how to form a mastermind. We actually break you into groups, and you would actually form and execute and facilitate a mastermind while you're there. So now when you go home, you're ready to form your mastermind, and you totally know how to do it because you've experienced it, not written about it.
Right.
And everything that we do at the event is that way. We share it with you briefly, and then we get off stage. Imagine an event where there's nobody on stage 80% of the time. Like you're because you're doing the stuff that we just taught you. Like we don't need to sit up there and talk at you for 2 days, right? We'll share with you, hey, 20 minutes, here's how you do it, grab a partner and then engage. And so anyway, bestyeareverlive.com is that. And we have people come from, Asia, Australia, Japan. Someone signed up yesterday from French Polynesia. I don't even know where that is.
Wow. So Best Year Ever Live?
Live. Yeah. bestyeareverlive.com. And I say this jokingly, but also true. Scroll down and watch. There's a 3-minute video toward the top of the website, just down a little bit. And I always say it jokingly. You'll know within 3 minutes whether or not you want to stay away from the event because it's a little too high energy and, emotional for you, or if you're like, oh, wow, that looks transformative. I want to be there. You'll know very quickly.
That's great. Okay. Awesome, man. Well, listen, thanks so much for your time, man. I really enjoyed our conversation today. You're just so inspirational, and I love your story. And the Miracle Morning, obviously, I practice that as well. So thank you so much, and we look forward to getting you out here. That's what I'm going to work for.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Jay, and thank you for having me, and everyone that tuned in and listened. I really do appreciate your time. It means a lot to me, and hope you got some value, and hope you'll start practicing the Miracle Morning tomorrow morning. Set your alarm clock back 30 to 60 minutes, and don't wait till you get it figured out perfectly. Just wake up a little bit earlier and read or exercise or do one of the savers. That's my challenge and my invitation for you.
Awesome. Great. Thanks so much for your time, Hal. Really
All right, Jay.
It.
Take care,
All
buddy. Bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. All the show notes and links can be found over at jkimshow.com. Come back often and make sure you subscribe, rate, and review. Don't forget to join us next week for another exciting episode of The Jay Kim Show. I'd love to hear your comments. You can find me on Twitter at JayKimmer, JayKimmer. See you guys next week. This podcast is brought to you by Hack Your Fitness, the high achiever's guide to getting ripped in under 3 hours a week. If you're anything like me, you're probably working a full-time job or jobs and trying to find time to balance family life, social life, and last but not least, fitness. Look, I get it. I'm a full-time investor and entrepreneur myself, and father of 2. So how am I able to stay fit year-round without spending hours and hours in the gym killing myself on the cardio machine? After struggling for the last 15 years trying every workout and diet under the sun, I finally designed a system that allows me to achieve and maintain single-digit body fat for life in under 3 hours a week. Cardio not required. Head on over to hackyour.fitness and download my free 13-page guide that teaches you the simple science behind efficient fitness and smart nutrition and gives you everything you need to know to finally take control of your life. That's hackyour.fitness.